Congratulations.
Hola, muchas gracias.
Congratulations on the win and the contract. How are you feeling right now?
Primero de todo, felicidades por la victoria, por el contrato. ¿Cómo te sientes en ese momento?
Estoy muy feliz por mi país, por mi familia, por mi equipo.
I'm very happy for my country, for my family, for my team.
And you mentioned your country, right? It's another Peruvian in the UFC. What's it like seeing this influx of talent coming in from Peru right now?
Mencionaste tu país, o sea, un contrato más para Perú. ¿Cómo ves este flujo de talento que viene desde Perú para el UFC en ese momento?
Así es, yo creo que este año es el año de los peruanos. Vamos a demostrar, yo soy uno más, de qué estamos hechos.
I think this is a fact. I think this is the year of the Peruvians, and I think that we're going to show more of them that we're ready for it.
And your opponent came out with a very fast pace. How did you adjust to that and ultimately get the win there?
Tu oponente cuando empezó la pelea vino con un ritmo muy rápido, vino de una manera muy agresiva. ¿Cómo ajustaste tu pelea acerca de eso?
Bueno, yo siempre voy de menos a más, así que nada, lo primero es aguantar y de ahí sacar al león.
I always try to go from less to more. You kind of sustain it, you take it in, and then after that, the lion comes out.
Y uno en español, dijiste que es el año de los peruanos, pero también hay mucho talento en toda Sudamérica. ¿Qué mensaje tienes para otros peleadores que quieren llegar a tu posición en un día en la UFC?
Bueno,
Mencionaste para todos. You mentioned that this was the year of the Peruvians, but what do you think of all this talent that's coming from other South American fighters in other countries? Can you send them a message?
Bueno, el ojo está ahora en Sudamérica, ¿no? Y ahora en Perú también. Así que nada, somos una raza guerrera, así que vamos a dar la talla en UFC.
The eyes are in South America, not just in Peru, everywhere. We are a fighting bunch. We are a warrior peoples, and we're all coming into the UFC.
¿Y hay algún peleador en específico que quieres pelear contra en tu debut?
And any specific fighter you would like to fight against in your debut?
No en mi debut, pero sí me gustaría pelear con los más grandes de mi categoría. Max Holloway, Volkanovski. Voy a hacer una linda historia en esta categoría.
Obviously not in my debut, but I would love to fight some of the greatest fighters in my division, like Holloway, Volkanovski. I plan on putting a beautiful story and making history in this division.
¿Crees que Volkanovski va a seguir campeón cuando tú llegues a ese punto?
Do you think that Volkanovski is still going to be the champion when you get there?
No lo sé, pero quien esté, quiero pelear con él.
I don't know, but whoever it is, I want to fight that person.
Felicitaciones.
Gracias.
I've got just one for you. You were the underdog going into this fight. Does that give you extra motivation? Do you pay attention to that? Were you even aware of that going into the fight?
Solo tengo una pregunta. En términos de la casa de apuestas, iba por abajo, o sea, creo que 3-1, no sé cuánto era, pero no era favorito. ¿Eso sabías de eso? Y si sabes, ¿es una motivación extra?
No, en realidad no lo sabía. Pero bueno, a la próxima tienen que apostar por mí.
Well, I did not know, but next time, you know who to bet on. Bet on me.
Felicidades con el triunfo. Durante la pelea vimos que Robbie te atacó, quiso iniciar la distancia, pero ¿cuál fue el momento donde pudiste ver que ese uppercut cambió todo y ya podías usar tu juego?
Throughout the fight, we see, especially when it started, we saw that Robbie just went for it. He actually attacked you. At one point, he found a distance. And when did you find that uppercut was actually getting in there?
Bueno, yo solamente estaba esperando el momento para poder contragolpear y hacer notar mi poder, ¿no? Y creo que al final él no se lo esperaba.
I was basically waiting for the moment that I would actually counterattack and show my power, and I think he wasn't expecting that.
Y finalmente, este fin de semana tenemos una pelea estelar, dos leyendas vivientes. Un pronóstico, Max o el zombie coreano, ¿quién gana?
And finally, we have a major main event between two stars, Max against Korean Zombie. Who wins?
Me gusta más Max Holloway.
¿Cómo gana? ¿Decisión, knockout, sometimiento?
And how does he win, Max Holloway?
Dejémoslos en una carta abierta.
Let's leave that open.
De acuerdo, man. Felicidades.
Gracias.
One, two. Where you going? You know, I just went on my phone, yeah, and the first thing I said was, first thing I saw in the comments was, what an obnoxious, cross-eyed goofball. And I thought, fucking hell, how do they know me so well?
Oban,
Yes, brother, how are you? Yes, come on.
how are you feeling?
I'm here. Well, look, the performance, yeah, I mean, it took a while to get going. It's been like a 16-week, 12-week training camp. So I was really a bit weirdly calm in the back. I was really calm in that first round. So you look at the fight itself, like, he knocked me on my ass in the second. I beat the brakes off him in the third and, you know, nicked the first. So, look, I won the fight. Obviously, you got to come on this show and impress. But I think, I think I did that. But how I'm feeling, I'm a UFC fighter. I'm in Las Vegas holding a UFC microphone, and I can call myself a UFC fighter. So how do you think I'm feeling? Where's the howl ahead?
What was the game plan coming into the fight?
The game plan was watch out for his right hand and his wild strikes. So I fucked that one a bit. But yeah, mix it up on him. But he surprised me with how good he was at getting up. I couldn't really settle on him. And then when he got back to his feet, he was super aggressive. But like the way he fought was like, you know, looking for the finish in a reckless manner. And, you know, if you go for the finish and don't get it, you're probably not going to get the decision. So anyone can go in there and throw haymakers like he was, and I just had to stay composed. Don't get me wrong now. I've just come in here and beat someone with double my fights, a reigning world champion, and I was the underdog. And he knocked me on my... And he left it... I'm not trying to talk bad at him, but he left it on a stretcher. Do you know what I mean? So I know I didn't get like a spectacular one-sided finish, but I proved that I am more than good enough to be here.
That second round, how hurt were you?
I wasn't hurt. I was like a bit all over the place. You know, like I had my head with me, but my legs were gone. So I was just kind of like, oh, no, whoa. And then... when I seen him, like I recovered from the heavy shots, and they just reminded me about the armbar. I forgot about that. But yeah, that second round, yeah, I was hurt, mate. You know, I was thinking, shit, that ref's gonna, you know, I heard him saying, fight back. I fought back, but I was hurt. But he gassed, and that's when I took a while. I started slow. You know, if that was a 5-round fight, I'd have finished him. You know what I mean? I was fresh in that third round, picking him off, dropped him, and smashed his head. You know, nearly put a hole in his head with a ground and pound. So I got there in the end.
Talk about the emotions, you know, ups and downs. You were supposed to be here a couple of years ago, suffered a loss, fought your way back. Now you got here, you got that UFC contract. How are you, man? Like, what are the emotions like?
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Right. And that's what I've got written on my wall in my house. I've had my setbacks and that, you know. I've had to fight the killers. You see all these prospects squeaking by, fighting toilet cleaners that have a one-fight release on the UFC that get a nice little, you know, blue corner job every time, and I had to just fight that psychopath. You know what I mean? So, I'm just one of them guys. I haven't took no for an answer, and that's why I'm up here now. You know, I said yes to this fight before I even knew who it was.
Couple last ones. Obviously, you're fighting for yourself, fighting your family, but you're also fighting for Richard, man. Like, you know, how hard was this camp, knowing he was fighting his own battle and you were fighting for him?
I mean, when you say how hard was it, in a weird way, it made it easier because I kind of every time I was thinking about maybe taking a session, like rested another hour or whatever, like working night shifts, got a 9 o'clock session, like, am I just going to be, but he was turning up with chemo, taking on chemotherapy treatment, and he was at the gym, so what excuse did I have? So it kind of made it a bit more, I don't know, it kind of made it easier in a way. Of course it was tough, but it's more motivation, like fight for my family and all that, but that cockroach who won't lie down for anyone, Richard Shaw, he's been through had the worst year of his life, and he told me that me getting this would make it one of the best. He's had a grandson, so yeah, that one was for him as much as it was anyone else.
Another Welsh fighter in the UFC.
All right, number 4, as he says. Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah, well, fuck. Mate, I remember in school, I got 2 of the boys there. We made a bet saying no one can go to America until I fight there, and they've come out. So it's mad. It kind of put pressure on myself in a way because I've had this dream for so long, so it means more. So it's like when you're in them changing rooms, you're like, I haven't just stumbled upon this opportunity. I've been dreaming about this opportunity for years and years and years, majority of my life. So it's about managing that pressure. And now I'm here, I feel like, I'm like, finally, The Rock has come back. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this.
And then finally, the debut. When do you want it? You have anybody in mind? Do you want to fight in America? You want to fight in Europe? What's key for you?
We'll see how much this tax bill is first before I answer that one. Look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves. I don't know. Maybe the John Jones undercard. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Legend, bro. Who's next? Is that
got
everyone?
One. No. There's more.
Hello.
I just got one for you. When you heard that Dana White said that he was on the fence, what went through your mind in that moment?
I was thinking, do the right thing, Dana. I've got another couple of rounds in me. I know I shit myself, I'll be honest. Because the young lady sat next to me didn't get it. I thought, I've just been it around for 5 minutes. I've just kicked that every sharp and hard part of that guy's body with my left leg, and now I can just about walk on it. And have I really done that? Not to have a contract. I've got to go back on the railways with all the boys. I was thinking, come on, Dana. That's why I we tried encouraging him when I spoke to Laura first. I did shit myself, not gonna lie.
Did you think that she deserved? You mentioned the girl next to you not getting. I don't know if you saw her fight, but
I did, yeah. Well, when I'm not gonna lie, when he said there was times where he could have finished the fight, she could have finished the fight or looked for the finish, but didn't. I was thinking, I was trying to finish him in that third, so he can't say that about me, So I was warming up. I wasn't paying too much attention to that fight, but that's shit for her, innit? But she'll come again, if she's not ready, she's not ready. Dana told me, he said, good luck, as if to say, I'll give you, be careful. He actually said, be careful what you wish for. So he's probably going to pull some, Loch Ness Monster out of his fucking closet or something. But I'll be ready. Yes, bro.
You mentioned there what he did to you in the second round and then ultimately what you did to him in the third round. How'd you make that adjustment and ultimately get the win right there?
Well, the first time he hit me and I went down, I've never fully been dropped before, so I just wanted to know what it felt like. But the rest of the round, he definitely was pinging me about. Yeah, that's what I would say. What was the question again?
How'd you make that adjustment from going from the second round to the third round?
I looked at him and he had his hand on the top of the cage, and I said, "You're gonna have to kill me, motherfucker." And I said, "It's a bad place to be tired." So I just thought, right, 5 minutes now, try and get rid of him now. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't get rid of him, but I did all I could. don't get me wrong, that decision was nerve-wracking. And then that whole contract process was nerve-wracking. But the adjustment was, as I said, I feel like I started a little bit slow. I would have liked to found my range and pinged him a little bit earlier. But he look how he fought, mate. He was coming for me like an absolute psychopath. You know what I mean? So on another night, if he fought me like that, I probably would have caught him coming in. But I just couldn't quite get his timing. He was really unorthodox. So hats off to him. Like, he's a world champion. He's had double my fights. Nothing but respect. I was scared of him coming into this fight. I just knew I had to get that job done. I weren't going to take no for an answer.
As you mentioned, fourth Welsh fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, out of my gym, that is.
Out of your gym?
I'm not too sure about the statistics. Yeah, he's the one with the fucking stats.
So sixth Welsh fighter. You have a message for the kids coming out of that area that ultimately want to be in your shoes one day?
Yeah, if I've got kids, yeah, to all the kids in the area, like, I didn't have the best. I had a troubled time growing up, and I had a dream, and I've had to work full time this whole time, you know, and I've had to fight tough guys the whole time, and I've stumbled a couple of times. I've had to retire once through like medical issues and that. And if I've got a message for any young kid coming up, if you've got an idea and you want to be somewhere, don't stop. Don't take no for an answer. You know, if it's not going to be given to you, so go and fucking take it, like I just did there.
Awesome. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Just one for me. I think you kind of answered it there. So now are you making the switch to full-time fighter? Are you leaving your job now? And what is your job that you're currently doing now?
I work on the rail. What is it? The railroads over here, the railways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like a track worker. So it's like the shifts are pretty unkind. Like 10 in the night till 8 in the morning on the shovel. You know, I'm not getting any rest, and then I'm getting in like 8 o'clock in the morning when the sun's up, getting like 4 or 5 hours sleep, straight to strength and conditioning, and then straight to training, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I got a night shift again. You know, luckily in the couple of weeks leading up to the fight, the boys were like, don't worry about coming in, and they were booking me in for the shifts. Probably might get sacked for that. Yeah.
So you're going for physical labor jobs straight.
I'm only joking. I'm only joking.
So what are the boys on the rail?
Yeah, they were helping me out. They were helping me out, but like, yeah, you know, financially, like, I've been paying bills, working full time. Like, it's been fucking a nightmare. I've got a university degree. The amount of times I sat there and gone, fucking hell, man, I could get a good job, and I'm putting myself all in the stress, going skint for what? I'm still on fucking Cage Warriors, and the phone goes, you got to fight this guy. I'm like, fucking hell, where's my toilet cleaners? Where are they? Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell, let me go in and have a little 3-round jab fest and you know, catch the eye of. But I had to do it this way, and I wouldn't change it, because as I go full time now, fighting in the best fighting organization in the world, where I can put everything into it, you know, my dreams come true. I have a feeling I'm going to have a fucking special run. And if any of my past is to go by, you know, I'm not going to take no for an answer in the UFC, just like I've not took a no for an answer in life. So, yeah.
What was your degree in?
Business management.
I think you made the right choice.
And he just knocked every bit of business management out of me in that second round. Fucking hell. But yeah, business management. Yeah, you know, I couldn't tell you the first thing about it. In my final year, I was just paying people to do my essays. So,
well, congrats on it, and welcome to the UFC.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Hold on right here. Dana White had said that it was your will that earned you this contract. When you talked about your story and talking about exiting that second and going to the third, he was going to have to kill you. What's your message going into the UFC in this welterweight division, and the fans that are listening now? What's your message to everybody?
You better be good, whoever I'm fighting next, because I'm a fucking nightmare. I'm just like as old Uncle Chael says, I'm that kid at the wrestling tournament that just don't go away. You know, if you beat me once, you'll have to beat me again for me to even accept it. I'm not really in a position to address the welterweight division because I just want to fucking hit the Las Vegas Strip, mate, and have a good time. So I'm a UFC fighter now. I'm a UFC fighter now. So yeah, feels good. Fuck them all for. We'll address them next week.
Congratulations on the contract and enjoy the Strip.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Oh, good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Hello, hello.
You guys good? Zach,
What's up, Alex?
how you feeling?
$1,000,000.
Obviously, another quick fight. Talk about the performance. I know that he, tagged you a couple times, but didn't stop you, and you ended up finishing, man. Like, how'd you feel about your performance?
I wish I would have worked, stood up a little more maybe, or the fight would have played out a little bit, but I can't be mad about a minute and something second finish, so.
Was that exactly how you planned it to go?
Not exactly, but you know how plans go.
What was the game plan coming into the fight, right? Like, obviously, on paper, it was a striker versus grappler. Obviously, you have good grappling if needed, but we don't ever get to see it.
Yeah, the plan was definitely to strike more with them, stuff the takedowns, move side to side. I think that's laterally. I don't know. It's definitely not perpendicular. I'm still learning what that means, but yeah, that was the plan, to stand more with them, don't get taken down, but.
Looking forward, man, like, what do you want for your UFC debut? Like, do you want to get back to action? I know this is like a kind of a long layoff for you compared to other fights. Like, do you want to get back to action? You want to chill? What's the plans?
Yeah, I think something November time would be fun. Yeah.
And then, you're a UFC fighter now. How's that feel?
It feels surreal, man. I mean, I remember, being a kid and watching UFC, and to be here now today, it's just, it's a lifetime worth of work come true. So,
last two things: repping Fury FC. How's it feel to get out of come through there and get a contract?
Yeah, I love Fury. Eric, those guys always took care of me, and they got me fights when I would have opponents fall off, and they stayed with it. So yeah, I'm blessed to have come through Fury and blessed to be a UFC fighter now.
And lastly, how the hell do you make middleweight?
I'm gonna make a YouTube. I want to make a video on how I make middleweight. I'm not as big as Alex Pereira and stuff, and believe it or not, I only did about 40 minutes of sweating in total. So I really feel like we have it dialed in. Yeah, I might write a book. I don't know.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Alex.
Hey, Zach, I just have a couple. I'm sure you haven't listened to the commentary yet or anything from your fight, but DC kind of seemed to go in on the mistakes that your opponent made, and rather than praising your skills. Does that bother you to hear that, or you don't care?
Not really. DC's obviously a Hall of Famer, and this is a game of inches, and when you make a mistake, it's going to get capitalized on. I actually made a little joke to DC earlier when I was talking to him, and he didn't laugh, so I was like, damn. Felt like rejected a little bit, but no, it's all right.
Can you tell us the joke?
Yeah, he's like, well, how do you think of this fight? And I was like, oh, well, striker versus wrestler. I was like, but I watched a lot of WWE, so I think I'm going to be okay. And he just kind of looked at me, and I was like, all right.
That's pretty funny. And last question, how many times a day are you asked if you're Logan Paul?
That is hilarious. I get asked that all the time. I tell people I am great value, Logan Paul. All right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Jack, over here. Obviously, going into this fight, you had a promise for your brother. What's it like, man? You got the UFC contract. You fulfilled your promise.
Yeah, I got a little emotional earlier about it, thinking about it. Of course, I wish he was here to see it, but I know he's so proud of me, and he would be so proud. And yeah.
That's awesome, man. And saw you mentioned there November. Is there someone in mind, or is it just what the UFC gives you?
I'm ready. All comers.
Awesome. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank y'all.